Welcome, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, so we'll try to start on time here, move along. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council members, city officials, and our streaming audience. Welcome to the January 8, 2024 City Council meeting. We have a few items on the agenda this evening, and we're meeting at the City Building located at 26 South Paint Street. At this time, I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Here.
Nickerson, Barnes,
Here.
Henderson,
Here.
Creed, McKeever,
Here.
Dement,
Here.
Prohl.
Here.
We have a quorum, but there are a couple of people missing, and both of those individuals, Ms. Nickerson and Mr. Creed, informed me that they were ill today and wouldn't be able to attend. So I would ask if there's a motion to excuse Mr. Creed from tonight's meeting. Ms. Payne with the motion and Dr. Henderson with a second. Call the roll, please.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Nickerson, Barnes,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Creed, McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
Mr. Creed's excused. Is there a motion to excuse Ms. Nickerson? Motion by Ms. Bennett, second by Mr. Barnes. Clerk, call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
Ms. Nickerson is excused. I would now ask Dr. Henderson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. The minutes of the prior meeting have already been distributed, and I would ask if there are any changes, additions, or corrections to those minutes, and if there are none, I would ask for a motion to accept the minutes as distributed. Dr. Henderson moves to accept the minutes, and Ms. Bennett seconds that motion. Please call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
The minutes are accepted. As normally we would go to the reports of committees, but since the committees were just assigned last week on Wednesday, it's unlikely that any of the committees have met. And so rather than me go through each of those requests for information, I'm going to dispense with the committee reports unless someone has information they believe they should bring forward from one of the committees.
President Shoemaker, I'd like to just make a quick announcement for Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. Next week on Tuesday at 5 o'clock will be the first meeting of the Tree Commission for 2024. And then on Wednesday at 5 o'clock will be the Parks and Recreation Board meeting. And those will both take place over at the City Building in the Conference Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other information from any of the committees?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Prohl.
On behalf of Mrs. Nicholson, the item number 1, which is a second reading. I'm going to ask that I'm going to make a motion to not read this tonight because there is a public hearing scheduled for this item, which needs to occur before passing.
Is there a second to that motion? Dr. Henderson? The clerk can call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
Next, we have the report of officials, and I would ask Mayor Feeney if he has any information to submit to the council.
Thank you, President Shoemaker. Just a few items tonight. Auditor Spetnagel can't be here tonight, but she asked me to just touch on items 2 through 5, which she requested as legislative items and asked for your favorable support on those. An item we don't have a lot of say in or a lot of controversy, I don't think, but she asked for your support. And then just a few citywide updates. On Friday, the transit system will be launching a new app. We are essentially, the transit system has essentially contracted with a new dispatching company, one that is particularly well suited to take advantage of and book for our on-demand service in conjunction with the fixed routes. That app name, I did not name this, but it's called Ride Pingo, Pingo. Ride Pingo. You will be able to find that on the App Store. I imagine it's there today, but particularly for the city of Chiillicothe, they're doing training all week and it'll be live next week. We know from the experience around the trolley over the holidays that when there are a lot of calls that come in for booking rides, that our system, which was built for fixed routes originally and has transitioned over time, this should help to sort of manage both the on-demand and the fixed route. So Ride Pingo, that'll start Friday, and should be an upgrade over what we've had since we transitioned into on-demand. Speaking of apps, Chiillicothe Fix It is still live. Somebody asked me recently if it was still live, and it should be. Any issues with its usage or trouble with it? I use it quite a bit myself, and I've noticed that sometimes if you're in an area, at least with my cell service, if the coverage isn't the best, you might not be able to upload a picture as quickly, but the app is still running pretty well, and I believe it will tell us if we look up. Hopefully it loads. I was not planning on doing a live test, but it worked. 177 issues fixed all time. If you haven't used it yet, it's a pretty neat app. And you can actually look on the map to see if there's been issues reported near you. You can report issues. And on the front end, it's very simple to use. On the back end, it's a little bit more complicated. But the concept is that the requests for service get funneled to the correct departments. And I think it's a pretty smooth system, but we are continually working out the kinks. So if you run into any issues or run into anybody who has any issues, please let us know, because we are in sort of constant troubleshooting and updating mode. But that was Chiillicothe Fix It, which is still working well. Just want to pass along to folks, over the past month or so, the Rennick Yard Waste site had been open and closed and open and closed. We had a contractor in who was grinding and removing about half of the yard waste that was there. It is now reopened. That is Wednesdays from about 8 to noon and Saturdays from 8 to noon. So that's yard waste site reopened. And don't forget that you can also call and we will pick up yard waste if you don't have the ability to get to Rennick. And then on the service topic, we had our first little dusting of the year on Saturday. And I just want to give everybody a reminder and a thank you to those drivers who got out and got some salt down on Saturday. It came fast and melted quickly, but our goal and the way we operate when snow comes, and this is for the public and council as well, is our first targets are the hills. We get salt down on the hills to make sure that people can get up and down, and that there aren't too many accidents, or that the hills are passable. And then we hit the main thoroughfares. And the goal is always to stay ahead. Salt doesn't do much after snow is down. The goal is to get it down before the snow comes. And then even when snow comes down, the goal is to make the roads passable. We're not aiming for 100% snow removal. We would need many more trucks and many more employees to do that. So we're trying to get the major thoroughfares passable, and then we move into the side streets. But that's if we have any more snow, that's that's what we're up to. And then finally, this coming Monday is federal holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The city of Chiillicothe will be celebrating that day, along with Jubilee Day, which is celebrated by the Ross County chapter of the NAACP annually around Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That'll be this Sunday, 4:00 at Quinn Chapel AME Church on Main Street. So that's 4:00 Sunday at Quinn Chapel, and it's always a nice program, a great way to start the year, and everybody, the public, is welcome to attend. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll now turn to the Law Director, Ms. Villarreal.
Thank you. I have passed out our annual report to council. Everybody should have a copy of that, giving you your 2023 year-end totals. It's pretty detailed, but I think it's very self-explanatory. So if you do have any questions after you review it, no problem. Just give us a call or an email, and we'll be glad to talk to you about it. Additionally, Teresa is now back from Italy. We're all very happy about that. And so hopefully we can get back in the groove and things can progress for a good year. Thanks.
Thank you for all your help. We appreciate it. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we will now move to audience participation. Any person wishing to address council must first provide his or her name and address. Comments shall generally be limited to 5 minutes, and I'll give you notice when there is 1 minute remaining. So we're now open for anyone who would make any comments. I have very little authority, but I do have discretion to give you more time. So go ahead, and unless I see the council members starting to squirm, we'll go ahead and give you some additional time.
Okay. My name is Melody Hatfield.
I'm Robert Leach.
Okay. I live at 355 Brennan Road, Chiillicothe.
And I'm at 79 West 5th Street in Chiillicothe.
Since there are new members in this council, I wanted to bring everybody up to date on what we've been doing. If you have not heard, we have been looking to open a museum, a military museum named the Chiillicothe Ross Military Tribute Museum in the current water building on Park Street at whatever time they vacate and move to other premises. And it was suggested a year and a half ago that if we were sincere about doing this, it would be a good idea to get all of our ducks in a row prior to that so that we would be able to move forward when it became available. So we have established a 501c3. We have our EIN number. We now have a bank account active for this organization. The only thing we have to do is have a building to put things into it. and do a renovation too. We are anticipating it's probably going to be a $1 million renovation, and we are also looking at going through the CIC on a lease program like the pump house has, so that it would be $1 a year. But we've had drawings done, and I forgot something.
And while she's getting the drawing, I'll say I am one of the Veteran Service Commissioners for the Ross County Veteran Service Commission. And when we talk about this, I want to tie it to what an exciting time it is for our veterans community in Ross County and Chiillicothe.
I have handed out things on numerous occasions, but for the people that are new, this is a blow up of the Park Street area. And what you're seeing on this is right here is what is currently Veterans Memorial Park. And right here is the current water facility. They are on the same flowing segment of property. And it would be something where we would have these extended and we would have ample parking space. And then we can tie everything that we have, well, not everything, but we can tie a lot of what we have into the museum into what is currently in the park. There are names, as Bob can tell you, on the monuments of people that did not return home from war. We're talking about doing something interactive. So you can have a QR code and you would be able to scan one and you would be able to learn about the different people that were killed in action. Also, one of the reasons we think that this hasn't had quite as much traffic is because there isn't any parking and people have to park on the street and that's not readily available. And that becomes very apparent when there have been functions over at the Veterans Memorial Park. With this building, we will be able to have parking for both the museum and for the Veterans Memorial Park. What would happen is right now there is a fence that's right in between there. There's a lot of overgrowth and brush, and we would totally clear that out so you could walk from one thing to another and enjoy both the park and the museum. I think that's it for me.
Okay.
You take it from here.
All right, so there are 321 names on the monuments in the Ross County Veterans Memorial Park. One woman, Betty Nolan, who was killed during World War II. A lot of us remember the name Joseph Hoffman, who was killed at Pearl Harbor, and his remains were finally identified and brought home to Southern Ohio to be laid to rest with his family a year and a half ago. What this museum will do will allow those stories to become known to the people that visit the park. And the Military Museum can not only be a memorial to those 321 names, but it can also be a memorial to all of our veterans who have gone off and served and come back. And we anticipate starting this with the Revolutionary War veterans who settled this area first and going all the way through our global war on terrorism veterans who are back now. What's exciting that's happening right now is the committee to erect the Global War on Terrorism Monument is well on its way and has the designs completed and is halfway through the fundraising to have a monument in the Veterans Memorial Park to our 4 casualties from Ross County: Gavin Colburn, Aaron Reed, Brad Clemens, and Josh Geyer. What's been amazing with that is that these Global War on Terrorism veterans that have met to do this have felt a solidarity to the Spanish-American War veterans who were forgotten by this community. There's no monument anywhere in Ross County to the 4 soldiers we lost in the Spanish-American War, 3 in Cuba, 1 in the Philippine insurrection, and then they're even counting 1 who died on the border with Mexico after Pancho Villa's raid. Those will be also remembered with a monument because the Global War on Terrorism Monument Committee has anticipated having some money left over to do that. Why it's a really exciting time for veterans right now has to do with our Ohio State Legislature and Attorney General Dave Yost, his implementation of the new charitable gaming laws. So the veterans clubs in the community are not pinched for finances like they were, and now they're all starting to work together. And so not only are we seeing a lot of donations to some very good charitable organizations in the community, but we're also seeing work together to make these monuments to support this museum. And as I said, it's a really exciting time for the veterans in our community at this point. I'm going to say, in the sense I've received since 2002 when I retired from the Army, veterans felt a little bit pushed to the side with the park on Chiillicothe. Some of you probably saw as city council members, if we'd have a ceremony there, sometimes the councilmen were really the only ones there. We feel like this museum next to it will really dignify that park and be a synergistic effect. You'll have more people come to the museum because the park is there, and you'll have more people visit the park because the museum is there. So it's been my honor to address the city council today, and thank you for your time.
And I want to build on two things that he said too. One of the concerns that people had when we first started talking about a military museum was staffing, because they were afraid that people would come to this museum and then it wouldn't be open because it's so hard to get staffing. With the monies that we'll be able to get both through fundraising and grants, but in particular with the gaming revenues that we will be able to get from the different veterans organizations, we will definitely be a self-sustaining museum to the point where we will be able to model ours after the Historical Society, and we will pay a small stipend to all of our volunteers, which we think will encourage people to come in to actually work at the museum. I think that's it. We're looking forward to working with you guys, though, and I'm hoping that steps are being taken to move things along to get everybody centrally located somewhere, anywhere, not in the water building. So, thank you very much for your time. Yes, and actually, the next meeting that I'm at, I'm going to go ahead and bring that so that the new members will be able to see it. Well, that's one of the pages, yeah. Oh, a couple of them. The building really needs a lot of renovation. It really does, but we have garnered so much support from different veterans groups and everybody that we have talked to, of people that are in a position to be able to contribute to this, that I think we're going to be able to do a beautiful job with the building.
We will be saving a historic building, and one of the things just across Chiillicothe Boulevard now from that, during the days of Camp Sherman, was a military incident where the Camp Sherman soldiers came down and at gunpoint took over the electric plant that was here in Chiillicothe. So we'll have an exhibit about how that worked and what the reaction in the local community was to that. We don't plan on any armed insurrection to take over the water building, but the veterans are really excited about this.
So thank you very much for your time and your consideration. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much. 10 minutes exactly for the two people. Isn't that amazing? Next.
I always seem to be following somebody who has something much more important than I have, but that's how things work. John Thacker, 990 Columbus Street, apartment 307, Chiillicothe. I saw in the Gazette the list of the committees that have been assigned. What I did not see, though, is a designation of one of the committees specifically for transit. I believe it might be incorporated in city services. You folks would have a better idea than I do. In the past, it's been kind of glommed onto either engineering or utilities, or it was always utilities/transit or engineering/transit. Perhaps I'm selfish, but I do think that Chiillicothe Transit is an important part of this city because, well, besides the fact that I use it, but a lot of people use it. So if I could clarify as to where they will be, any kind of issues that come before the council would be referred to a committee beforehand.
I would say, since I'm going to make the referral, it would likely be utilities, but I will take a look at that and make available to the public some more definitional information about each of the committees so that the public will have a complete outline of what each committee is doing so that there won't be any questions. But I appreciate your comments, and
Thank you.
I think that's very helpful.
And I want to say to Dr. Anthony Phillip, you look different than you did 5 days ago. However, They understood because I didn't recognize him with the new eyeballs I have. So that would be it. It was a joke. Sorry. Anybody else?
Thank you. Moving on next, is there any old business to come before the council? Hearing none, I would only suggest that when I became president of council, I came over and looked around, and I found a fan with Congressman Bob McEwen's picture on it. I was a young man when Bob McEwen was in Congress, so I'm not sure how often we've cleaned this area, but I've taken a look, and I think some things probably can either be donated to the Historical Society or thrown out, but we'll work on that. Hearing no more old business, has there been any correspondence to come before council?
Thank you, President Shoemaker. I have not received anything.
Is there any new business to come before council? The only thing I would mention there is that it is National Blood Donor Month. This is an important time for people to donate blood because there's a shortage, especially in January, and that's why this month is designated as such. So I would just encourage people who are capable of giving blood to actually do that, to assist. We'll now move on to the ordinances.
Item number 2 is a third reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 163.062 income tax of the codified ordinances of the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Having had its third reading, I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted. Next.
Item number 3 is the third reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 163.091 income tax of the codified ordinances of the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Having had its third reading, I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted. Next ordinance.
Item number 4 is a third reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 163.10 income tax of the codified ordinances of the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Having had its third reading, I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted. The next ordinance.
Item number 5 is a third reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 163.094 income tax of the codified ordinances of the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Having had its third reading, I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
The ordinance is adopted. At this time, is there a motion to adjourn? Dr. Henderson, seconded by Ms. Bennett. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bennett,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Dement,
Yes.
Prohl.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you all. Here, I'm trying to push it.